What if I told you that one of the most iconic superheroes in cinematic history, Superman, was nearly unrecognizable in his last major appearance? What if I said that the very essence of hope and justice was twisted into fear and compromise? It sounds shocking, almost unthinkable, but that's precisely what happened when Zack Snyder introduced Man of Steel to the world. The DCEU's Superman was unlike anything fans had seen before, not because he looked different, but because he acted different. He wasn't a hero we aspired to become. He was a god burdened by his existence, a man unsure of his place, and most importantly, a symbol that no longer stood for the values that once defined him. When Man of Steel premiered in 2013, it promised a bold reimagining of Superman's origin. And yes, it delivered something undeniably epic and cinematic, but it also broke something fundamental in the process. This Superman was introduced through a lens of fear. Clark Kent was taught to hide who he was, to suppress his gifts, and to live in secrecy. The pivotal moment, the tornado scene, cemented the film's unsettling direction. Clark watches helplessly as his father is swept away by the storm, not because he physically can't save him, but because his father tells him not to. The reason? Fear of what the world might think. Fear of discovery. Fear of being different. That decision, that hesitation, contradicted everything Superman stands for. And later, in a devastating climax, we saw this fear turn deadly when Superman killed General Zod, snapping his neck in cold blood. To many, this was the moment Superman stopped being Superman, because he crossed a line that had been sacred for decades. Superman doesn't kill. He finds another way. He inspires, he uplifts, he believes in the impossible. But Snyder's Superman didn't symbolize hope, he represented despair dressed in a cape. This fundamental misstep didn't just affect Man of Steel, it echoed throughout the entire DCEU. The darkness that began with Superman spread to every corner of the universe. Batman became a vigilante who branded criminals. The Justice League felt more like a collection of haunted warriors than legendary protectors. What was meant to be a modern reimagining of heroism became a cinematic universe built on cynicism. Now, over a decade later, the DCEU is gone, officially laid to rest, and from its ashes, a new era begins, one that hinges on a single critical promise: to bring Superman back to his roots. James Gunn, the new architect of the DC Universe, isn't just rebooting a character, he's attempting to restore something sacred that was lost. He's not just creating a film, he's redefining a legacy. And from what we've seen so far, Gunn's vision is not only ambitious, it's essential. Because without a Superman who embodies unwavering moral clarity, the DC Universe cannot stand. Everything begins and ends with him. The casting of David Corenswet as the new Clark Kent signals more than a generational shift. It symbolizes a philosophical return. Gone is the brooding, tormented alien. In his place stands a hero grounded in hope, resilience, and compassion. This Superman, from all early indicators, isn't weighed down by fear. He doesn't question whether humanity deserves saving. He already knows the answer. And more importantly, he believes in it with his whole heart. Even the film's tagline, "Look Up," carries a powerful dual meaning. It reminds us of the classic imagery of people craning their necks skyward as Superman flies above, but it also challenges us to aim higher, to aspire, to hope. It reestablishes Superman as a symbol not just of strength, but of moral greatness. In the promotional footage and teaser material, we already see this new Clark Kent navigating a very different emotional and philosophical landscape. There's a scene in which he debates Lois Lane not over whether he should help people, but how best to do it. This Superman is not reluctant. He's determined. He isn't avoiding responsibility, he's embracing it. And that subtle difference changes everything. It restores Superman's most critical trait, his unwillingness to give in even when the world seems lost. He's not perfect, but he wants to be. He strives for the good in every situation, and that makes him a hero worth believing in. This fresh vision also comes with context. James Gunn is no stranger to complex, often chaotic characters. His work on the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker shows he's capable of diving into moral gray zones and gritty storytelling. But with Superman, Gunn appears to be doing something deliberate. He's preserving the light. Even in a world of gods and monsters, as this DCU chapter is titled, Superman must stand apart. He is the god who chooses compassion over control, the most powerful being in the universe who chooses not to dominate, but to protect. That, in itself, is the essence of what makes him so compelling. Because true power isn't about destruction, it's about restraint, mercy, and understanding. And it's about never giving up on people, even when they've given up on themselves. This contrast is vital, because if Superman doesn't represent a higher moral standard, then what makes him different from the very villains he fights? Snyder's version blurred that line far too early, and the cost was enormous. The DCEU never recovered. Audiences struggled to emotionally connect to a hero who acted more like a soldier than a savior. But Gunn's Superman seems to be taking the opposite path. From the very beginning, he is someone worth believing in. Someone who sets the tone for what the DC universe should be. Someone who restores the idea that good doesn't have to be naive and that compassion is not a weakness. It's the ultimate strength. There's a reason Superman has endured for over 85 years. He's more than a character. He's a cultural icon, a symbol of hope not just in comics, but in our collective imagination. The world doesn't need a cynical Superman. We have enough cynicism already. What we need is a hero who reminds us to be better, who believes in humanity, even when humanity struggles to believe in itself. And James Gunn, it seems, understands this deeply. His Superman is being framed not as an alien among men, but as a bridge between what we are and what we could be. As this new DCU takes shape, all eyes will be on this Superman. Because make no mistake, he is the cornerstone. If Gunn succeeds, he won't just have revived a character. He'll have resurrected the soul of an entire universe. A Superman who refuses to kill, who fights not just with his fists, but with his ideals. A hero who doesn't give in to the darkness around him, but chooses to shine brighter in defiance of it. That's the Superman we've been waiting for. That's the Superman we need. And maybe, just maybe, if this version sticks the landing, it won't just correct the mistakes of the past. It will set the course for the next decade of superhero storytelling. One where truth, justice, and yes, even the American way, aren't outdated slogans, but principles worth building a universe upon. So look up, because for the first time in a long time, Superman might just be the hero we can believe in again.